Okay, so it is 12:34 a.m. in the morning right now, and you might be asking me, why am I recording a video so late? I don't know. I couldn't really tell you, but I really just wanted to make this video talking about Ghost of Yotei and giving my thoughts and opinions on the game so far. I am exactly like 20 hours into the game. I've put like 19 hours exactly into the game, so I'm roughly like I've put like 20 hours in basically. And I just wanted to make this video talking about my experience with the game so far, how I'm enjoying it, talk about the gameplay, the open world, the story so far. And yeah, man, just like so far with the game itself, I am really enjoying it. I know the last video I made talking about the game, I was talking about how, like, is Ghost of Yotei going to be a good game? Is it going to be as good as Ghost of Tsushima was? Because Ghost of Tsushima for me was, I really enjoyed that game. And with this game, obviously it's a different protagonist, it's a different, story, setting, everything. And so, I was not necessarily apprehensive, but like very skeptical. I guess skeptical is the word. I was still like excited to play the game and interested in the game and everything. And obviously, it's the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, so I was gonna buy it regardless. So playing through the game and being 20 hours into the game, I can confidently say as of right now, I am enjoying my time with Ghost of Yotei. I am definitely enjoying the gameplay. I am definitely enjoying the open world. I'm enjoying the story so far. And talking firstly about the gameplay. Now, with the first game, the gameplay is probably one of the best things about Ghost of Tsushima was the gameplay, the sword play. Yeah, the gameplay so far is super good, and I'm not really surprised because it is a sequel to the Ghost of Tsushima. So obviously, the Ghost of Tsushima game, the gameplay there was good. So it only makes sense that the sequel to that game is the gameplay is also really good, and it's just more refined basically, and more fluid and more solid and everything. And obviously with this game, it's not a carbon copy of the first game in terms of like the gameplay and everything. Obviously there are, they're pretty similar, with the difference of, in this game you get different weapons. Now obviously you get the katana, but in this game you get different weapons like the dual katana. Right now, what I have at least is because there are different side missions where you get like different weapons. And right now I have the dual katana, I think it's called the Yari, which is basically like the spear. And I think I just have those two things so far. I think I just have those two things so far. And obviously you just have the katana, but using those different weapons and or having to switch between the different weapons depending on the enemy type that you're going up against is super fun and super creative, having to like switch between weapons on the fly, depending on like the situation and everything like that. It really, I guess it tests your ability to think on the fly, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I'm enjoying the combat. I'm enjoying how fluid it is. Talking about more of the combat in terms of like other new things that you're able to do. You're able to basically pick up weapons and like throw them at people, and I thought that was super cool. That wasn't a thing that was in the first game. In this game, you're basically able to, and it definitely comes in handy when you're like, doing, or you're trying to be stealthy. You're able to just like throw a katana like really far away and like be like you'll be able to like hit an enemy and they'll die. And that I thought was like super cool and everything. Obviously, I started this game playing on medium, and that's how I was gonna play through the whole entire game. But I think like maybe a day or two into my playthrough of the game, I was like, okay, medium is like, obviously it's balanced and everything, but like for me personally, because I remember specifically I played Ghost of Tsushima, and I think I only played it on medium. Like I never bumped up the difficulty or anything like that. And I have heard from like people that like if you played the game on like lethal, or if you played the game on hard, it's a totally different experience than playing the game on medium. And so I was like, okay, I'm enjoying the game on medium. I feel like I'm, I don't want to say it's necessarily easy, but like it's definitely not like, I don't know, I feel like I wasn't being challenged enough. So I decided to bump up the difficulty to hard. And I will say that like once I bumped up the difficulty to like hard, I did start to notice that like it wasn't as like a walk in the park anymore. Like obviously it wasn't like, like Dark Souls level of like hard or like whatever, but it definitely, I did notice that like some enemies were more aggressive and dealt more damage. And there was one particular boss fight that I was going up against where I died multiple times, and like I was actually like, there was like a moment where like, or there were moments where I was like getting like frustrated a little bit because it was like so like, I guess hard, I guess, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, definitely bumping up the difficulty made the game even more interesting in terms of like the combat and like how challenging everything was. And talking about the the duels, obviously in this game, one of the main side quests or side missions that you can do in the game are the bounties. Like you can basically walk up to like a bounty board and collect bounties and basically track certain bounties and basically 1v1 them to like a duel. There are some bounties that like it won't, like it's not as simple as like, oh, you got to kill this person. Like it's like more to it sometimes, that there are some bounties that have like different interesting outcomes depending on like the bounty that you're going up against. And so I liked that stuff as well. I'm liking those side quests. And just talking about the open world real quick, I don't know if I guess with Ghost of Tsushima, is another thing that I like. After I beat Ghost of Tsushima, I watched a lot of YouTube videos on the game itself, and like talking about like the combat. One of the things that I heard about that was that like playing it on lethal was a different experience. But when it came to the open world aspect of the game, obviously you have a map, and the wind is like a big way to navigate yourself to like different locations. And I would use the wind in the map a lot. It was, especially in the first game. But playing through this game and hearing other people talk about Ghost of Tsushima and their experience with the game and what they decided to do in their playthrough, I did hear that like some people, or the best way to experience the game was not using the map and just like exploring the world and like just finding things just randomly and not really thinking about it, just like riding on the horse and just like seeing a location and being like, okay, I'm gonna head there. And I noticed that I started to do that. I made it I guess I made it an effort, and I still use the map and everything. Like I'm still prone to like doing that because it's like easier for me, especially with a huge game like this and it being open world. I am prone to probably get lost and be confused sometimes. And so obviously using the map for me I guess can be a crutch, but I did try to make an effort to not use the map and just, you know, explore around the area. And I found myself enjoying the game even more doing that, because, you know, I felt like I was actually coming across things and I wasn't, you know, relying on, you know, a wave point to get me to a certain area. Like I just, you know, I would stumble upon, you know, randomly a bounty, or I would, you know, stumble upon a hot spring, and you usually can tell which, like, you know, sometimes, well, like what you're gonna like find. Like, you know, with hot springs, like the leaves are like red and everything, and that's supposed to represent your health bar being red and everything. And so you can tell, you know, if there's like a bunch of red leaves, oh, that's a hot spring. And, you know, there are also like you'll see like in the distance like a I don't want to say like a cloud of smoke just like going up the sky, and you'll tell that, oh, that's probably a side mission, or that's probably maybe another bounty or something like that. And also, like, you know, just looking at the environment and being like, oh, that's the place where that bounty is, because they talked about how, like, you know, where that person is, the color of the environment was blue, or like the leaves were blue, so that led me to the, you know, location of like a certain bounty that I was going after, or like whatever. And yeah, so like just the open world itself, and the game is like gorgeous. Like they're like, I usually like, I'm not like really like good at photo mode, like, because this game has photo mode, and I've seen, you know, people use photo mode in this game, and I've seen a lot of like talented people, you know, use photo mode and show off pictures of like their game and stuff like that. And, you know, with me, I like using photo mode. I like taking pictures and stuff like that, but I'm not like super, you know, amazing at it. But like there were some times where like I'm just on a cliffside and I'm just like looking out into like just the vastness and like the open world, and seeing the mountain, or I guess Mount Yotei in the background, and seeing all the different locations that you explored. Those moments are super cool as well. Like I like those moments in the game. And so yeah, the open world in this game is super fun to explore as well. I think also another thing I wanted to call out was the fact, or just the way this game utilizes the DualSense in this game. Like I feel like when it comes to like the DualSense, or like the controller for the PS5, it's funny because when the PS5 first came out, obviously, you know, they were promoting that, like, you know, when it came to the controller, you know, it would have all these things, and it would have like, you know, the haptics and everything, and it would, you know, have these different abilities, or not abilities, but like different like things, or that would, you know, make it cool, or like whatever. But, you know, we never really see developers utilize the controllers to like their full extent. I feel like most of the time, like, you know, most developers don't even like, you know, try to, or don't really care to, you know, outside of like probably, you know, the one game I can think of is like Astrobot. You know, Astrobot utilizes the DualSense, and so but particularly with this game, and I think this is just like with Sucker Punch, I've just noticed with Sucker Punch in general, they fully utilize the DualSense, like particularly in this game. And I mean, it's not really a spoiler, but at the beginning of the game, the character of Atsu is like, obviously the whole like story of the game is that she's like taking revenge on the Yotei 6 and everything. But at the beginning of the game, there is a part where like you use the controller, like you use the touchpad in particular, and you like basically you're using the touchpad to write the names of the different Yotei 6 members, basically. And I just thought that was like a cool like thing, that like a creative thing that they did. Like you know, Atsu in the game is writing down, or like she basically has like this sash that she carries around her. And the sash base has the names of like the different Yotei 6 members, but at the beginning of the game, you use the touchpad and like you use your finger to draw like the different symbols, like the Japanese symbols that make up the different names of like the people. And so I thought that was cool. There are other parts in this game where like you're able to cook in this game, or you're able to make food, and there will be moments at like a campsite where like you're cooking food, or you're cooking fish, or you're cooking mushroom, and you use the controller to basically cook the fish or cook the mushroom, and like you turn the fit, or you turn the controller to, you know, cook the food basically. And I thought that was cool. And there's like other moments in this game where like they use the DualSense as well, but those are the two particular things that are like coming to mind. So it is really cool that they, you know, utilize the DualSense in this game. So that's another thing I wanted to call out. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk about is the story for this game. Now, going into this game, or like, you know, and everything, I think one of the things that I was like a little bit more, I guess, apprehensive on was the story, because particularly with this game, the story is basically a revenge, I guess, you know, story. It, you know, essentially like you're going out and you're going after like, you know, different members of like this gang basically, or clan, or like whatever you want to call it. And obviously when it comes to that kind of stuff, not only do you see this in like movies and TV shows, but you see it in video games as well. Like, you know, one of the two major games that I can call out that have done this before is Sifu. Sifu is a game that, like, you know, basically the story of that game was that like you're getting revenge on these different people for killing one of your family members or like whatever. And obviously another game that comes to mind is The Last of Us, or The Last of Us Part 2 in particular. And that game basically has you going out and taking revenge on a group of people as well. And so with this game, I was like, okay, I'm definitely not like against the concept of them doing this, you know, and I like it, but like I feel like for me it had to be like, okay, this is like the revenge story is, you know, good, but like what's like more, like what's gonna be more than just that, or is it just gonna be that? And you know, playing the game so far, and you know, with the story and everything, I'm enjoying the story of the game so far. Is it necessarily anything that like I haven't seen before? No, but like it's definitely good. I'm enjoying, you know, Atsu as the main character. I think she is pretty cool and everything, and I think the side characters are, you know, pretty good as well, or some of the side characters that you meet in the game. And yeah, I don't want to like necessarily spoil anything in the story, but the story so far is good. Is it like the best story that I've ever seen so far? No, but I am enjoying myself. You know, I haven't finished the game yet, so like I can't give like a full verdict of how I feel on the story so far. But so far, I'm enjoying the story, and yeah. I almost forgot to mention, but like one of the side characters in particular in this game is a wolf. Like it's straight up just like a wolf, like that will just like show up occasionally and like help you fight enemies, and those parts are like cool as well. Like there are some points where like in the game, or there's like a point in the game where like you get a song in the game, and you can use the song, like if you're at like an enemy camp or like whatever, you can like, when you walk up to the camp, you can like play the song, and like the wolf will basically show up and help you take out like a camp of like enemies and stuff like that. And yeah, I just the wolf in this game is like super cool, and like I just love the fact that like he'll just appear out of nowhere. Like even like when you're fighting a boss, like when you're about to die, you know, when the enemy's about to kill you, the wolf will literally just appear out of nowhere and like save you at the last minute. And like those moments are like cool as well. And I have heard like a theory that like the wolf in this game is like a reincarnated version of Jin Sakai. I don't know if that's true. I mean that's just like a theory right now. I don't know if that's like an actual thing in the game, but that would definitely be interesting. I like the fact that like this wolf that like shows up and helps us is like a reincarnated version of like a previous ghost or like whatever, or Jin Sakai. And so that could be cool, but like yeah, the wolf, like that whole thing, like that, the fact that he can show up and help you like fight, you know, different enemies, and like the fact that like when you do like standoffs, like he can actually join you and like take out enemies with you when you do a standoff. And so yeah, that's another thing that I think is pretty cool about this game. But yeah, so far I am enjoying my time with Ghost of Yotei. Obviously, you know, when I finish the game and everything, I do want to make like a full review of the game. But, you know, as of right now, I am definitely enjoying my time with Ghost of Yotei. In the comments down below, have you been playing Ghost of Yotei? If you have, what do you think of the game so far? Are you enjoying it? Are you not enjoying it? Leave all your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. And yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, and I will see you guys on the next one. So yeah, bye.